Coming at you right now with part 2 of our budget hunt and arrow build. So part 1, we took the Carbon Express pile driver destroyer arrows. We kind of showcased those on a 3D range. We got them shooting pretty good. And today we're going full hunting mode and we're putting these G5 Montec broadheads on. So let's dive into it right now. I'll show you this setup. So the broadhead of choice is going to be these G5 Montec, and these things have been out for a long time. They're just rock solid and they're made of solid steel. Let's see if I can get you to focus right here. They're made of solid steel, 3-blade construction, and these right here that I have are in just a normal 100 grain. That way we can add insert weight if we needed to. We're just going to keep it at 100 grains. But overall, these things are just rock solid. I mean, they're fairly thick as far as the metal goes. So these are going to hold up. And the reason I chose a fixed blade broadhead is just because of the simplicity, and you can use them on just about anything. I've shot mechanicals, I've shot just about everything out there, and I'll always go back to fixed blades for the simplicity. There's not a lot that can go wrong on these. They're more likely to hold up if they hit bone and still get the job done. That's why we went with these G5s. These are easy to sharpen. You can kind of see the design. All you'd have to do is, you could pretty much sharpen these on a whetstone if you really wanted to. It's just an easy design to sharpen, so that is another reason that I chose these. But this is kind of what the packaging looks like. They come in a pack of 3. I think I got these for 37 bucks for a pack of 3. I bought 2 packs just so we could have them for the hunting season. Right here, cut in diameter 1 1/16 of an inch, and that is the actual cutting diameter right there, that picture. But yeah, pretty nice little broadhead, and you know, I guess they're about the same price as just about any of the other broadheads out there. But these just have a good track record. You know, I've used Schwackers in the past, I've used Thunderheads in the past, and all those are cool, but you cannot beat the simplicity of this 3-blade fixed blade G5 Montec. So that's what we're shooting. So right now we're gonna go ahead and get our bow. And if you haven't checked out this build, this is what the whole video series has been about, is this $1,000 bow build. This is the Bear Alaskan XT, just a great all-around bow. It provides a really good building platform, and that's what we did with this. We bought the bow for 500 bucks. We put another 500 bucks into it. Now in the video series, we're at building a good hunt and arrow setup. So this is part 2 of that. So we're gonna be going through right now. We're gonna tune this bow up for the broadheads. So we're gonna match the field points to the broadheads, and we're gonna show you how to do that. And we're also gonna kind of clip this into a separate video. That way, if folks don't know how to broadhead tune, they're also gonna get that video. So if you like this kind of stuff, please help me out on the channel, like and subscribe, hit that notification bell so you can get more videos when we roll them out. So let's get into broadhead tuning right now, and we'll show you some tips and tricks on how to do this. So the very first thing you're gonna do is grab one arrow that has your broadhead of choice on it, and grab another arrow that has your field point on it. And what we wanna do is always shoot your broadhead first. And let's take some guesses on why you wanna do that. Well, the main reason is if you shoot your field point, and then let's say you shoot your broadhead right behind it, well, it has a good chance to, you know, shave off some of those fletchings or maybe cut the carbon on the arrow. So that's why you want to do it. So just to minimize that, go ahead, shoot your broadhead first, then shoot your field point, and it's going to be a little bit safer for you. Well, we have a target down here at 20 yards. We're going to shoot at 20 yards first, just in case we were to miss with our broadhead. Let's say it's off by like 12 inches. Hopefully it's not. If your bow is in tune, it's not going to be that much off. So we're looking for very minimal movements with our arrow rest, because we have this thing paper tuned for our field point. So, and it was shooting bullet holes, but what we want is for both of these to be pretty much hitting in the same exact place. That way we can practice with our field points, but also go out and hunt with our broadheads and still feel confident that it's shooting in the right place. All right, so we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna launch this broadhead first, then we'll shoot our field point, and then we'll do a breakdown of what the movements with your rest need to look like down there on the target. All right, we're gonna load up one of the broadheads. Get our sight dialed down to 20. flew just a little bit left. Now we're going to shoot our field point. Oh wow, actually grouped perfect. So we'll go show you this right now. So with this, it was almost perfectly on. We need to move it to the right just a little bit, but that's just because, you know, we threw a new sight tape on yesterday and started shooting these arrows. So we're not perfect right now with these arrows, but as you can tell, these are grouped up, almost touched each other. And if we would have shot the broadhead second, it would have probably cut one of these fletchings. I mean, they are literally touching. So that's what you want to see. That lets me know that my bow is timed good. Everything is going good with the bow itself. It's literally just the point of aim, potentially, or the sight just needs to be moved over to the right just a little bit. All right, so I'm gonna give you a breakdown of kind of what you need to look for as far as how to do your movements left and right, up and down. So what normally happens when you're going through and shooting your broadheads is usually your field point's gonna be dead on because you've been practicing with it and your bow is set up for that field point. Then you'll shoot your broadhead and it's gonna be, you know, all over the place. You just don't really know. So let's say we'll go ahead and pull out the field point. All right, so imagine this one is your field point, and let's say this one is your broadhead. So we hit way over here to the right. So what you want to do is move your rest to the right, and that is going to potentially correct this. You want to make very, very small adjustments. We're talking really small adjustments to get this fixed. So this is going to be a lot of repetition to get this spot on. So with our circumstance over here, we're gonna have to move our sight, not our rest, because our arrows were shooting pretty much the same. So we're just gonna move our sight. But that's not always gonna be the case. If you're shooting high with your broadhead, then you're gonna move your rest down. If you're shooting low with your broadhead, then you're gonna move your rest up. And if you're shooting left with your broadhead, then you're gonna move your rest to the left. So hopefully that makes sense. If you're out there doing this type of tuning, write this down. That way you can kind of have a reference, because it is easy to forget. I mean, with tuning, with bows, there's a lot of different things to remember. So just write this down so you don't have to memorize it, because you'll get it eventually, but it's kind of hard to remember off the top of your head all the time. So that is a breakdown of how to move your rest to compensate to get that broadhead tuned with your field point. That way you can have them shooting like this every single time. So let's do another round. Let's compensate a little bit more to the right and get this thing shooting together on the bullseye. All right, so our bow must have been really in tune because we didn't have to make any corrections or anything with the rest. But what we are gonna have to do is make some adjustments with our sight. So if you know your bow is shooting the same with the broadhead and field point, that lets you know your rest is good, okay? But if it's not, if the group is not centered, then go ahead and correct it with your sight, which is what we're gonna do. We're gonna go ahead and move this over just a little bit with our micro adjust. All right, and then we're gonna shoot again and see if we're on point this time. And then after we do this at 20, we're gonna go ahead and break it up and move it back to 40 and see if our group is moving anywhere else. Because with that broadhead on, a lot of times that resistance is a little bit greater than with the field point. So your groups end up moving a little bit more, and then there'll be more separation from the field point and the broadhead. So that just comes naturally, but we can correct that just a little bit. And I know this gets a little repetitive, but that's how it's gonna be, guys. Unless you just have some miracle bow. All right, so we got them shooting in the same place. So that's what it needs to take, is just reconfirming, making sure you're getting this thing dialed in the way it needs to be. All right, so I don't know if you can get a better group than that. There literally is barely any daylight between them. So that's what you're looking for. Yeah, we're probably gonna have to move it over to the right just a little bit more, but I'm not gonna bore you guys with me having to repeat this a million times. So I just wanted to get another group, that way I could show you what it needs to look like and how much effort you have to put into it. So let's go ahead and back this up to 40 yards. We're gonna do the same thing and check our flight, because I can guarantee you it's gonna move just a little bit. So we'll go ahead and do that. Right, we backed up to 40 yards. Let's go ahead and sling some of these arrows down there and see how much the difference is this time, because if there's gonna be difference, it's gonna be amplified a lot at longer distances. And if we back this thing up to like 60, 70 yards, you're definitely gonna see a lot of variance between the two. So if you plan on shooting at those longer distances at animals, definitely go through, spend the time getting it tuned for those distances too, because it's gonna make a world of difference. But if you don't, if you're just doing whitetails and you're staying 20, 30, 40 yards, then this is gonna be all you need to do. And we're not gonna spend that much time today going out to 80 yards with this, because you guys would definitely click off this video real quick, because it would just be boring. It's boring for me, it's boring for you. So let's go ahead and check this at 40. So we need to dial it up first. That'd be bad, sitting my broadhead right in the dirt. That one felt good, and it flew pretty good. You can definitely hear those blades cutting through the air. So I can only imagine how much wind resistance that is. And you know, most arrows, a lot of times they'll do some wonky stuff in the air as far as the flight goes, just because of that extra wind resistance. Hopefully the variance isn't too much on this. Ah, man, that arrow did something weird. It was going full and it just dipped. So we're gonna reshoot for sure, but there's like probably a 3 to 4 inch gap in between them right now. So like on that last shot, we noticed our field point did some crazy movement where it kind of just dipped. What you can do is called knock tuning. So what you can do is rotate that knock pretty much another set of fletchings around, and that's pretty much spine tuning your arrow a little bit better. Let's say the flight's not perfect, this sometimes can correct it without having to move your rest, without having to do anything else. So give that a shot. Bunch of different ways to get that thing tuned up the way you need to, but just remember, if you have a fletching that is like a different color, the orientation that it needs to be in. So it was facing up, now it's facing towards us, but we're gonna give it another shot and see if we can correct it with this one. So the reason I did it with both of these is because the broadhead actually did some funky stuff too. We're gonna see if moving it 90 degrees did anything to it, but we'll definitely do that to the field point as well. So I think it did fix it, because it hit pretty much in the same spot that it was hitting at 20 yards. Instead of it hitting super high at 40 here, it was doing it opposite. So we're gonna go ahead, move this one too. So yeah, at 40, I'll take that right there. It's not perfect, but we're gonna keep trying, but you get the picture. You kind of want to get your broadhead and your field point essentially shooting the same. All right, that fixed it right there. We're shooting in the same place with both. So I think we're good. I think we're gonna call it quits on that one. But off camera, I'm definitely gonna try to get the whole group over a little bit more where it's on target. But that lets me know that they're both tuned the same way. So that's what we're looking for in this video, is how to tune those broadheads to your field points, and we just achieved that right now at 40. So there we go. We went through, we got this broadhead tuned up, essentially tuned up. I mean, we're still gonna fine tune it a little bit. That just takes a little bit of time, a little bit more repetitions. I didn't want to bore you guys to death on YouTube, kind of going through as many repetitions as I'm going to with this, but we did get them tuned pretty good. So this whole build, I think, is going to be a pretty good little hunting setup, from the Carbon Express pile driver down to the G5 Montec. I think it's going to be a pretty good little setup for just about any kind of game you want to go out there and hunt. If I was hunting pigs, maybe I would go over my single bevel 2 blades. But we're going to be doing some videos of that too. Maybe get into some traditional type hunting and maybe use some more of those single bevel 2 blades. But those still work too, and we might throw them on this one too. I don't know, but hopefully you like this video of the install of the G5 Montecs and kind of putting them to the test out here, getting them tuned up, showing you kind of how you can do it just to go along with that $1,000 bow build, and also the $125 arrow build that you can get. And then for about, I would say 40 bucks max for a pack of 3 of the G5 Montecs. They run usually from 35 up to 40 bucks for a pack of 3. But overall, nice little package here. It's gonna get you started off in the hunting season if you choose to do something like this. And if not, it might give you some ideas of some other things out there. Like always, I'll put some alternative options for some of these products in the description box as well, because there's a couple different arrows out there that I would probably choose. So Gold Tip has the Hunter XTs, which I think are only 100 bucks for a dozen. The thing I didn't like about it is you don't know what color fletchings you're gonna get. I like the green. I think with those, it ranges from green, yellow, red, blue, orange. I mean, you don't know what pack you're gonna get, I guess, unless you go out to the store, actually purchase them that way. So that's why I didn't go for the Hunter XTs. I think they're a great arrow. I've shot them in the past. I found a bunch out on the range and I've shot them before. Let's see, there's a couple other ones out there that aren't too bad priced, and if I can try to find them, I'll place them in the description box. But like I said in that previous part 1 video, the reason I chose these is because I've shot the pile driver bolts a lot. I've never had any issues out of them. They've held up really well in the crossbow, and that's why I wanted to get an arrow version of it and just kind of show you how good of an arrow it is if you build them up. All right guys, thanks for watching this video. Like and subscribe. We'll see you in future videos.